Tell me without telling me you're in perimenopause. You have printed out directions from MapQuest before. Don't you remember? Even better if you had an actual physical map in your car. I did. Dad put it there. And I had manual roll down windows in my 1999 Ford Escort. Let's go. You should Google that so you get an image. It was silver, called her Silver Lightning. All right, well, all that to say, imagine you plug an address into your updated GPS, for me it's Google Maps, and you start driving. And you miss a turn because you're going somewhere new, which also happens for me. I don't like driving to new places. I prefer being a passenger princess if I've never been there before, in most cases, actually. Little side note about me. But when this happens, thankfully, your GPS does not say you're a failure. Pull over. This journey is over. No. It recalculates immediately without judgment. It doesn't shame you. You can't hear any change in its voice. It doesn't assume you're bad at driving or you lack discipline. You should have been looking at the road. You shouldn't travel ever again. It simply says, new route identified. And this is what keeps you making progress to the destination, even though it's not this perfect ordeal. You don't have perfect driving. No one expects that. We just roll with recalculations, mistakes, better routes. There's traffic. This is real life, after all. I would love to help you translate this nonchalant GPS way of things into your health and fitness journey, because I know you start chalanting when things go wrong. I know it because you care. So we have to intentionally create a new paradigm around making mistakes and quote unquote failing on our health and fitness journey. Failure is feedback, and feedback is the breakfast of champions. Failure is your friend. You didn't fail. You collected data. You learned something you had to learn. Easy to say, tough to integrate at times, and that's what we're going to do today. True failure is likely not the case. Misinterpretations of experiences and data, that's more common. To me, failure only occurs if you give up entirely, permanently. That's super rare, actually. Most women don't do that. They just brush it to the side for a period of time in the future, and they eventually return to it again when their courage spikes or they experience enough pain to get motivated. So what if you didn't fail? You stopped too soon. It's not that you missed the goal. Failure is not missing a goal. You just misread the feedback and you took it personal. So I can't speak to this without speaking about very successful people and what they do in general and how high performers actually interpret setbacks. I am a failure. Those words are taking it personally. That goes towards your self-concept, the way you see yourself, your identity. We could argue, I've heard this said, that everything after the words I am could be you using God's name in vain. I am that I am is how God revealed himself to Moses. How powerful are those words to your self-image and your energetics? Instead, we can say more detached, I failed at this. I made a mistake. I needed to learn that. The keys here in going from I failed to I failed at this or this skill or I failed at this thing in this moment are curiosity and compassion. This reevaluation of failure puts us back into what I like to call the power position. That's where we can learn and grow. Now we can learn, now we can adjust. So true high performers, they know how to do this really well. And I want to speak especially to business owners because I have been a business owner for 11 years. I'm a founder. If this is something that you feel like you cannot change and you're always seeing yourself as a failure, business is like not going to be the thing for you. It's going to be really hard on you. I have been there because I am a former perfectionist. It's going to be a rocky road because failure is a prerequisite. There's so many face plants in business, so many humbling moments, so many opportunities to work on your mindset, your nervous system, your identity, your relationship with what's going on. and what you're making it mean about yourself, if you're improving, then you're failing. At some point, you're iterating enough times before you make the necessary pivots at the right timing. One of the things that we say in our house, and I actually just said it to my daughter last night, once again, was winners fail more than losers. Winners lose more than losers. It's just a necessary thing. So we see this a lot in our health and fitness journeys because we have, or the industry has conditioned us to believe that we have to be all in or all out. Clean eating or full brain shutdown mode, whatever enters my mouth, don't matter. One of my best friends, she'll probably listen to this because she's a good friend. Years ago, I remember giving her some advice on her training. She asked me about it, and she was not working out at the time. And she told me she wanted to start working out 5 days a week. This is so common. People are so offended when I'm like, why? It's such a thing where people are like, I ideally would work out 6 days a week or every day. And I'm like, why? Like, why are we going from 0 to 5 or 6? That's such a jump. There's such a huge opportunity for us to interpret us not hitting that every week as failure. We don't have to be all or not at all. You can actually slowly teach yourself things and be way more successful. Even if you are an all-in person, you have to actually allow yourself a soft start. That's something that I like to call it my soft landing when I'm learning it initially. We don't have to do it perfectly. And then when we don't do it perfectly, we are not failing. In our own eyes, though, we make things so big when we don't get it right away, and we internalize that and create an internal narrative about how we are not the type of person that could do this. See, I knew it. I'm not the type of person that could do this. I'm not a fit person. I'm not meant to do this. I chatted with a lady on the phone some months ago. She's 50 pounds overweight. And I asked her, like, what do you think is really stopping you? And she said, I'm just not the type of person to work out that often and like it. So many limiting beliefs right there. The required frequency of how often she needs to work out, how she sees herself, the skills she's capable of learning. There's no shame in that, by the way. I'm thinking of this example because it illustrated to me how my job is truly to help her see things differently for the sake of her well-being. Instead of being like, well, that's that then. Tough for ya. Like, I have to see that being 50 pounds overweight is no joke. And if these limiting beliefs are in her way and they're really eclipsing what's possible for her, what she's going after, and really her health long term, it's my job to help her see things differently. She had a track record from our conversation of mentally failing. Like she had said, I have failed so many times. I would argue that as necessary trial and error, but she saw that as personal failure over and over, which is really painful. So you see how making it about your character, making it a trait is so dangerous. I am a failure. Those are really dangerous words to say or believe. Those words should feel like you are cussing yourself out. Like, honestly, they are. You're speaking a word curse over yourself. So when it comes to changing our relationship with failure, you have to change the definition. For me, that's where I start. Like, what does this really mean? Most women define failure as, I didn't do this perfectly. But your physiology, your body, and your psychology, your mind, rarely operate that dichotomously, meaning perfect or not. Nothing is perfect. Think about it. What in your world is absolutely perfect, and who decided that this is absolutely perfect? Think about how scientists work. They don't run one experiment and expect perfect, clear answers. They can run hundreds, sometimes thousands. Most of those experiments do not produce the expected result, but they don't call it failures. They just call it data. Information, necessary steps towards a conclusion, clues, direction. These are ways that we can redefine failure because every experiment tells them something. What worked, what didn't, what to adjust next time. That's the curiosity piece we need to have. Get curious, because we are human also. It has to go a layer deeper. We're talking about ourselves here and not a petri dish in an experiment or a GPS directing us on a drive. We get emotional. So beyond curiosity, this is why I say curiosity and compassion, we need to consider how we can wrap in the emotional element. How do we address that emotional piece along with curiosity? You always feel your feelings. I say this to my clients a lot. They actually don't last very long when you feel them. And then when the full feeling has passed, we can choose a new feeling by organizing our thoughts properly. Because remember, we have feelings because of our thoughts and stories. The stories we create around things are so important. So once I've felt the disappointment, I'm going to honor that. Now I can organize my thoughts to help me get into a place of curiosity and compassion for myself. Having a hard moment that I absolutely know is necessary and for my good. It's working out for me. This is working out for me. Fat loss is so similar to a self-experiment because we are looking at biofeedback here. Like we're looking at sleep patterns, the food inputs, how that affects our digestion, our moods, training intensity, stress response. All these things are variables. So you remember that from science class, right? There's variables and controls. What are the controls? Essentially, you. Really, like your ability to regulate yourself. Regulate your state based off the stories you create. I didn't mean to rhyme, but I think it's a good rhyme. Regulate your state based off the stories you create. Because the story you make about this is what's going to cause a lot of feelings that will interfere with you moving forward powerfully with new information or making a conclusion about yourself that's not going to help you ever. That I am a failure. It's never going to contribute to your best, to your highest good. So we don't want to make moral judgments. Remember that in physiology, progress is adaptive and really unpredictable, not linear, right? Like we don't know exactly how the scale is going to move tomorrow. We don't. Like that would be wild. You'd have to live in a lab. And even then, they can't. So muscle growth works the same way. I think that muscle growth is such a great example of how failure is success. You apply stress, you observe the response, you adjust the load. That is programming. That's progressive overload. But that is how we actually get what we want. We have to fail in the gym or get close to failing, kind of flirt with failure to be successful in building muscle. If you don't require your body to change, if you don't overload your body, it won't. Yet we make that so much more serious when it's outside the gym. Instead of just saying we collected data or we did what was necessary. Because we're mislabeling feedback as failure all the time. Missing workouts, overeating one night, not losing weight this week, we call that failure. Yet that is just information. And how you interpret that information determines whether you're going to quit and lose time because you'll likely return to this again in the future, let's be real, or you learn and adjust. Remember the GPS? Progress is not about never missing a turn, never missing a step. It's about continuing to navigate on the drive, like don't just park. Behavior change research consistently shows that success comes from adjustment cycles, not periods of perfection. People who succeed long-term, they evaluate their feedback, they adjust their strategy, and they continue to iterate and execute over and over and over again. Not restart, punish themselves, quit again until Monday. Iteration. That is the language of progress. Iteration, not perfection. Your body is not a test that you pass or fail. It's kind of like a fun experiment you're curiously refining to get optimal data. So I have a confession to make. I was thinking about this episode, and I have done this well in certain areas where I've not made it mean things about me. For example, I have a different morning routine every day. And I know that's probably like sacrilegious to a lot of women that are like consider themselves to be high achievers. You know, you got this exactly the same morning routine. And that just doesn't jive for me. I feel like I'm so much better off. This could be an episode in itself, picking from a buffet and rolling with what I need that day more than anything else. Now, I ideally will get certain things in, but if I don't get all those things in, I'm not a failure. I'm just flexible. I let the feelings be whatever they may be, and I let them pass. I just know that like we have a chance to make our days feel good from the very beginning. And a lot of people feel like they allow their whole day to snowball into feeling terrible by not getting it right first thing in the morning. So I just know that I won't last long with that kind of fixed failure is a stopping point mindset. So I don't play that game anymore. I have long given up being all in or all out. I'm not all in or all out. I'm not all in on my health journey all the time. No one is. No one. Everybody has a moment where lives. Um, we do something in our program we call a primer. I'm actually on one right now. And it's a lot of moving pieces. Like, this is the beginning of the program. Clients have filled out a health assessment that goes over 300 symptoms. So there's probably the most moving parts right now, where we probably have recommended different supplements, hydration, dialing that in a bit, movement, food. It's a lot at once. So we have to have a soft start there. We have to have the mentality that like you're not going to get this perfectly. Like I didn't get all the things day 1, day 2, probably not day 3. And it's fine. You just keep going. But if you don't have the right mentality around it and the right support, it's easy then to go, well, I'm just going to go back to what worked. I'm going to do Optavia again because I didn't have to think. I didn't have to do this kind of emotional regulation. I'll just go back to like shakes or whatever, Beachbody, Isogenics, whatever the thing is. But curiously learning is a skill. Tracking your food's also a skill. Lifting weights is a skill. Learning how to eat in moderation is a skill. These are all skills. So you have to tell yourself, if I quit right now, I miss out on the skill that transfers to every area of my life, and I'll be back here. I'll be back here probably in a couple months. So what can I learn and where can we improve? I'm used to saying that statement because we use it a lot internally in Accelerate Wellness. When we give feedback, we say, so what can we learn and what can we improve? But you should ask yourself the same thing. What incremental shifts can I make? Progress feels so good. It is so fulfilling to humans to feel like we're moving forward. So with curiosity and compassion, we can move forward always. We naturally don't want to do things that make us feel bad or that we don't feel good at. So you have to make yourself feel like you're making progress by not ruminating on failure feelings, letting them being felt, letting them pass, and intentionally learning something. So if you miss a workout, if you eat off plan, if you have a hard week, failure is when you stop interpretation of that data, when you stop adjusting based off what happened, when you stop navigating on the drive. If you want to succeed long term, don't avoid those mistakes. Just learn from them. Learn from them. Be like, thank goodness this experience happened so I can learn X, Y, Z about myself or my schedule or whatever it may be. We have to be intentional about our identity when progress is slower and life is lifing, right? We have to be really intentional to not internalize failure. You are not a failure. Take responsibility, take your power back, curiosity and compassion so you can learn what you need to learn and get where you want to go. So if you are someone that doesn't know how to interpret the data and doesn't know how to implement a strategy and really struggles in these kinds of moments with having the right outlook and increasing your capacity for missteps, you are the ideal person to be in one of our coaching programs at Accelerate Wellness. So apply. The link will be under the show, and we'll find out if this is a right fit. But I can tell you for sure that no one is inherently a failure. So give yourself grace and know that there is so much hope for you with the right mindset and the right support.